Alright, one all, welcome back to the AoE4 action. We have got Anatan up against Puppy Paw. That's right, Puppy Paw. Just 24 hours ago, he was in the Grand Finals. Grand Finals, unfortunately, did not go his way, and immediately he just shakes it off and gets back into the grind. A filthy deli picker on the pub ladder. But on the other side, Anatan's gone for something funky here. You know, this is interesting. I think Anatan, of the players that you put in the top 30, I don't think I can't think of a single player that believes in Juji more than Anatan. Which breaks my heart, actually, because he was originally a Japanese believer. I think he still loves them a lot, but this guy seems to play more Juji than anyone else I watch right now. He was the person who proved their power in Holy Island, and he's looking to now prove their power on land maps. Let's see what he can do. Reminder that this is not the Juji that we used to see spammed everywhere, right? Like, their timings have been hit pretty hard. The Meditation Garden isn't as powerful anymore. Song Dynasty Transition not as potent. And obviously, if the game trends too late, that late game kind of sucks. But I don't think we're going to be looking at late game here, folks. Remember, this is going to be a Delhi opponent. And I'm just wondering, actually, statistically, like, how has this been looking matchup-wise? Because these two civs were not changed, so the most recent patch wouldn't matter to them. If we look at the highest level play, Delhi has got a 45% win rate actually up against the Juji. So, you know, kind of on the close side. I think they had about 50 games between them, which makes a lot of sense. For those who don't know, like, Delhi typically at the highest level of play, as in top 100, top 200 people, don't really get picked much. And these guys definitely are a slot in for that type of position, right? Like, actually, at the time of recording, I think Anatan, he's 71st in the world, but typically he's usually sitting in, like, the top 30. And then on the other side of it, Puppy Paw's David Kim account, I think is, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, 7th in the world. So doing pretty bloody well. Anatan, in fairness to him, 71st in the world right now with only 5 games played. And I think he has an 80% win rate. So this would probably bump him up into, I'd say, about the top 40, top 30. And a Medigarden on the way. On the backside. Has got the stone, gold, and the berries. I think the stone is kind of a moot detail. So here's the thing, guys. Meditation Garden really kind of sucks for stone if your plan is to go multi-TC. The reason is that you want the TC very early on, right? You don't want to wait for it. Meditation Garden is giving you 25 stone per minute. If you put that in terms of raw numbers, that means you'd have to wait 10 minutes to passively get the stone for your TC. It doesn't sound very good for that, right? That's why usually you see a lot of people in Meditation Gardens. They'll drop them on berries, tree lines, and gold. Just much better, because those are things you consistently want at any given point. And also, because they nerf Song Dynasty's impacting outposts, so that doesn't work anymore. You don't pay 70 wood for an outpost, pay 100 wood. That whole play of spamming arrow slits is a little bit less efficient now as a defense strategy. So yeah, stone overall, like, it's still nice to have passive stone generating as the game goes on, but this is just mainly going to be dictated by the golden food factor. I think the issue here is Anatan just didn't get anything better. As often you don't these days. Or at least not anything good enough. There would have been this, but if you look, yeah, Anatan scouted it. Just think about the distance, though. Like, in a Delhi matchup, walking that far. Another thing is, Delhi would snipe this. So, a really big reason why you were seeing a lot of Juji players building their Meditation Garden super loose before the patch, back when Juji were pretty dominant, was because you couldn't burn the Meditation Garden, because doing that, you risked it getting rebuilt and its resources doubling, right? So it just wasn't worth dealing with. But ever since they fixed that bug, if people see a loose Meditation Garden and they're still like the Delhi, they'll take it out, because the Delhi aren't looking to dive your base and end the game. They're looking to control the map on these sacred sites and constrict you. And if you have this landmark just sticking out in the middle of nowhere that's giving you, say, 100, 120 resources, that's a freebie for them to take away from you. I know now with the deer pushing. Oh, interesting. Puppy Paw didn't notice. I think he ran right by the scout as well, so you would have thought he would have seen it. He might be able to just snipe it on the return, but it shouldn't matter too much. Anatan, it's going to be second TC, right? So, like, realistically, this is close enough now that he's pretty content with how this plays out. It allows him to keep his town centers close together. It means there's no exposure point. Because remember what I said about a loose landmark? Goes the same for a TC. If Anatan had to drop the TC out here where the deer spawned, the Delhi could actually ram rush that and kill it off. But this is close enough to the main that you can reinforce it. 2TC does seem a bit bold, but I don't mind the idea. Like, Matsuge Nu is probably going to be the play we're looking at for Anatan. I don't expect to see kind of a fast castle build. For Puppy Paw, Has he committed to a unit type yet? He's got them on the way, right? Blacksmith and archery range. Interesting. So no play into Ghazi. Agreed. I love that. The moment we say it, it's like, actually, yeah, no, KP, yep, fair enough. Yeah, Poppy Paw would have known. Like, I don't know if that was a misclick. I wonder if that was actually a misclick in the first place, right? It's like you actually do have archery range stables next to each other. You only really go anything other than stables when you're forced to. So, for example, if you saw your opponent had spears, you might consider archer straight away. If your opponent has knights, you're going to go for spearmen straight away because in that situation, if you open Ghazi, they open knights. Knights can contest you, and then they can raid you, right? If you have the choice, if you have the dictatorial flow on the opening as a Delhi player, it is always 100% going to be the Ghazi opener. An archer follow-up as well. And that outpost is coming up. So this is a really crafty way for Anatan to utilize that meditation garden. We mentioned that, you know, you don't get that much stone very quickly, but for hand cannon slip plays, it adds up quite nicely across feudal age, and it allows you to remain quite light on real military investment as the Juji. Similar to the Chinese, right? Like both these civs want to be greedy. They don't want to actually have to think about military units for as long as possible. And, well, if you have to build an outpost for 100 wood, and then 50 of the remaining resources paid for, that's a pretty lofty discount. It's kind of comparative to the Song Dynasty effect. Song Dynasty kind of made it absurd because with the 30% discount on outpost, well, it's 40% before, wasn't it, right? So you save 40 resources, then you save 50. So you save 90 resources of 175 resource cost, right? That was over half. Now, you're just saving 50 resources of a 175 resource cost. So it's not quite a third. It's not as absurd as it was, but it's still a quite complementary element to the Juji opening. Chuganu now scaling, so exactly what we're anticipating here. Now, the goal for Poppy Paw is not really to rush into the base here. There will come a time where there's an opportunity to go for some sort of ram play, right? But that's down the line. That's going to be after you've got Undermesh, that's going to be after you've got Steeled Arrow, and after you've secured 3 Sacred Sites. Because the thing is, once you secure 3 Sacred Sites, you can start to force Anatan to come out to you. So the question mark then becomes, what does Anatan do? Is he going to try to prioritize Fast Castle, or is he going to try to prioritize Mass Chuginu? Both actually are quite desirable in this matchup for different reasons. Obviously, getting into Palace Guard, super effective tool against everything here. But Chuginu Mass can also beat all if it reaches scale and has the right choke points to fight around. One thing I was curious to see if Anatan was going to try here, and we can see he's not going to do it whatsoever, was the idea of some Palace Guard being laid in. It's possible that does get added into the equation when we reach like 50 military pop. I know what people are going to say. KP, you're insane. You finally lost it. Palace Guard and Feudal Age, so there's no point to it whatsoever. But as a frontline tool, it's not a terrible choice, especially as a body blocker against Ghazi. Ghazi that, although they can get shredded by Chuganu, are more tanky and more impactful in return as well. First Sacred Site locked in. And walls going up. Yeah, I like this from Poppy Paw. This is really clean so far. Because now the problem is Anatan, if he just commits to only Chuganu, breaking through these walls can take a very, very long time. I don't care just how amazingly busted Chuganu are. I know I say it enough. You're still trying to dent a 1250 HP wall. Right? That takes quite a few shots and wastes a lot of time. Nice blocks in the meantime from Anatan. Little game of catch me if you can, and it looks like they are going to catch you dead, mate. Actually, wait. He aggroed the wolf on. Luckily, the scout is going to be here to clean that up. Otherwise, double wolf would have been kind of a catastrophe with that pacing. But 3 Sacred Sites now in. The timer has been started. Anatan needs to prep for that move. Blacksmith now coming in. So he'll be ready to break out of the base probably in about the next minute. Interesting thing here, actually. If you play the wood line near this Sacred Site, you can kind of snipe away at the wall with Mass Chuganu in a semi-defended location, right? Like the Ghazi won't be able to get an immediate surround. They'll have to fold over themselves to get around the back of you. All right, what do you think, guys? Live game. Could go either way. I always love to do this. Juji, if you think Anatan's got this, if he's going to win it, 1s in the chat. If you think David Kim, a.k.a. Puppy Paw in the Deli's got it, put 2s in the chat. And if this is on YouTube later, YouTubers do it as well. I think it's a nice habit to get into. You know, it's like a fun little way of doing predictions for the games. So it's difficult, isn't it? Because on the one side, you're like, Delhi. Ooh, I mean, they basically win all the time. But on the other side, Mas Chuganu. I feel like we don't often see Mas Chuganu lose anymore. It's almost like anytime we see a pro player doing it, they're doing it because they know it works. You know what I mean? Like, there was a time where it was hit and miss because it felt experimental. But now, these builds feel just so clean and quick that they reach the critical mass a bit too fast for a lot of these feudal age armies to deal with. And that's why I like what David Kim's doing here. Puppy Paw now on his way up into Castle Age with the compound of the Defender. This is a smart read. Like, you're reaching a point where fighting this army is not worth the effort. To quote a wonderful lad, a friend I made in the World of Warcraft scene, Quep, there's a term that the Method team would always use when something wasn't worth playing out, and it was too many calories. So Delhi playing this longer feudal is too many calories. And the whole point is, like, it's not worth burning the calories, the food, to try and figure it out, right? It's just better to go over the top, go for Castle Age, and come back with potentially a Mangonel solution, or just a few Lancers that can more easily break this. Antan not going to be too much further behind himself, though. And Puppy Paw, now, this is an opportunity to snatch all the relics ASAP. One center's being picked. North one's also going to be grabbed. South one should be very feasible. And there's already a Scholar on the right side. So this is looking like a 4 relic gain. 5 would be difficult. That outpost is basically blocking a lot of sneak routes, right? You'd have to go all the way around the back. But 4 relics in this game feels like a jackpot. And Anatan, I mean, it can't be Shaolin Monastery, right? Nah, he understands. Anno is such a smart cookie. In this matchup, like with the timings that are happening here, you know there's going to be scaling scholars. So if you go for Shaolin Monastery, you're just going to lose. Mount Lu makes a lot more sense. And Mount Lu's pretty nice for scaling Eureka as well, remember. Taxation also going to give you a little bit of omnoms. Food, which is going to be very important for a guy who's now exhausting the last of what he has safely in his base. Decap coming in the meantime. Puppy Paw's going to allow that. The reality is he's teching up. He doesn't know for sure if Anatan has. He's just seen an amassment of 50 Chuganu. He has to show the appropriate respect here. So this game is going to be dragging later. Anatan even rotating, looking for additional decaps here. It's kind of dumb what you can do with 50 Chuganu at this stage of the game, right? Like these initial Lancers, if they show up, they will basically die in 2 hits, right? Like the first flurry of arrows will do 150 damage to them, guaranteed. Because you can only be reduced down to 1 damage. And the next wave of shots will insta-kill them. So really kind of frustrating, but for Puppy Paw, he just has to kind of nod, accept it, and just take what he can from the flanks until he's got mass together. Anno is not going to be sleeping, folks. Chuganu upgrades coming in. Knights are being added in. And at this point, we are looking at a 23 eco lead. Compound the Defender is still, what, 2.5 minutes away? And the other awkward thing is Puppy Paw is doing something that I don't feel like you feel comfortable doing as the Delhi. Like, it never looks good when you have to do this. He's gathering stone at a rapid pace with only 47 economy. Typically, you want to be able to wait until 55 or 60, but his hand has been forced by the fact that he's up against Yuji. He knows there's been 2 TC from the early phase of the game. He knows that he's going to be over 20 economy behind. He can't afford to play a long castle with his eco in that state. So has to kind of jump the gun. I mean, you can see Village Fortress is still 2 minutes away. In fairness, with the stone gathering done, by the time he's going to build this up, he will almost have the tech unlocked. And I'm wondering if he just uses it to secure the stone and the deer over here. That would be a solid play, right? Just get additional keep spam going. Now, Anatan still needs to get into his Song here. That should be coming soon. Song Dynasty is really important for the farm transition that I think we will be leaning towards soon. For the time being, with all the extra eco, you can afford to take risks onto Born onto Deer. But the issue you run into with the Juji is you tend to scale your economy so quickly with this 2CC build that the finite resources don't really last very long. So you always have to kind of be thinking one step ahead on that transitional timing. Chuganu looking for a clash. Puppy Paw should be avoiding this fight at all costs. It's just not worth your time. Once again, too many calories, right? A lot of gold for Puppy. Wait. Nah, there's no way. I was about to say, there's no way we go Imperial Age here. He shouldn't be aiming for Imperial. It wouldn't make much sense. Nice raid with the Knights, though. predictability of the Delhi, right, is that they are always going to try to play flank resources. They're meant to be one of the most aggressive civs in the game, so why wouldn't they? But Anatan using that against his opponent, finding a few eco kills here, just extending his lead further. Village Fortresses is finally complete, and it indeed was that castle drop on the 2.4k stone we were anticipating. So that's 3 more keeps now for the Delhi to drop. Still, that doesn't mean at this stage your eco advantage is now going to start kicking in. Like, none of this has paid for itself yet, folks. Like, that's what you need to realize. This keep investment, the fact you've got 18 villagers gathering stone, the next 3-4 minutes at least for Papipour are really quite delicate. It's an opportunity now for Anatan to try and prolong his pressure, get his farm transition in very cheaply, and then flood the field just before the Delhi are going to be able to contest him. So there is actually a really cool window here. For Papipour, the goal now is to drop the keeps in a position where it insulates him, it pads his base, right? It buys him the time so that when he's like 4 TC efficient, he can bypass the Juji eco count. And that's when the game starts to favor him. And if the game has to go Imperial Plus, funnily enough, actually, the Delhi do pretty well there. We've been seeing Ghazi recently in late game statuses doing miraculous things. And you have to remember the Juji are not the Chinese. They are a lot weaker. They do not have the tankier siege. They do not have the pyrotechnics range on their hand cannoneers. They do not have hand cannoneers. They struggle in a lot of ways. So I think for Anatan, mid-late castle is where he's looking to break this game. Ghazi just looking for a flank attack. Knights in the meantime. Ooh. Oh, hello. Well, that is actually a jackpot if he realizes. Unfortunately, the elephant is now reacting. So just going to keep diving through. Now, the question is, Anno, I mentioned, like, castle's good for him. Is he just going to try to bypass it and get a quick Imperial before it turns into Imp versus Imp? Because this is kind of the interesting thing, right? Is, like, Juji, once they start adding these farms, they unintentionally usually end up floating an absurd amount of food. However, these farms right now, unguarded, Ghazi are going to look to punish that. Chiganu, at least going to be able to clear up some of these. And that's most cavalry removed now. Papipour, I don't know if that elephant was a misclick or not. He's going back into knights. That's difficult to justify. You don't have great long-term food now, right? You're on the berries. The deer has already been exhausted. I feel like you need to switch up. You even need to start adding in farms ASAP, or you need to maybe consider someone like Siege that you can afford more easily here. Because going into things like Lances, which are incredibly expensive in food, isn't sustainable. And welcome the stupidity of Chuganu. I can't with this unit, man. I will always shake my head. Sure, they have to run away from this army because the archers are coming, but it's the Lancers and how easily they tickle them. Chuganu. Trading out the archers. This is a good fight. Palsguard shot up as well, and all of a sudden, Papipour wants no part of it. That was actually a great bait, and Anatan waited until he reached the very edge of his base, and then just springs the trap with the Palsguard mass. Now, this is nice on the retreat for Delhi. Remember that the Chuganu are very slow, so you can actually kind of kite away from them and then take out the Palsguard. But overall, you're now trying to push into the meat grinder in a game where you don't have your farm transition yet. Realistically, what Papipour is doing here isn't sustainable. Mango. That feels like a whiff. You literally just hit the wrong one thing you don't want to hit. And Anno, I mean, if he just moves in, remember, you can shred mangoes. Like that. What a unit, man. Like, is there anything they will not kill? They'll even kill castles. Hard time here. Yeah, so someone's highlighting the Pro Scouts play. We've been seeing this a lot from the Delhi now. When you naturally just get into Pro Scouts, the game goes a little bit later. A lot of Delhi players have started to do this. I think Papipour has been doing it for a while. So yes, he has dragged these deer under, because remember, you naturally get Pro Scouts over time due to the mills, and you have multiple mills sitting around when you're playing as Delhi, right? Because you have them out on the berry patches, for example, here, here, and here. So it's something you can easily rally. You just like click back and forth, you queue it all up. It's a nice detail. I don't think it's like a game changer. It's still him playing on borrowed time. This farm transition has to happen soon, right? He has two choices. He tries to break the base, or he now tries to set up a defense to go for full farms. I think it's easier to go for the latter here. It feels like you're letting the Zhuji have what they want, but realistically, how do you break them quick enough here? That fight was atrocious for Puppy Paw, right? The Mango couldn't even save him from it. And now, like, the Chuganu mass mostly has been cleared, sure, but now you're looking at crossbows and Palace Guard. Oh my god, and the taxation. You're seeing that correctly. He's getting the red seals. I love that Anatan does this, actually, because I feel like I've been watching a lot of players not bother to get the extra 2 Imperial officials. Your economy gets absurd in the late game. Even without gold veins, if you then also go for the Zhuji library and get the +2 guys, the amount of gold pump you have allows you to play almost any comp to a extent, right? Like, if you're going Palace Guard mass, it's never going to run out. And I love this. Temple of Sun, another thing that Anatan understands well. We've seen a lot of players just going Zhuji library, and I shake my head every time. I think Zhuji library is like one of the biggest blunders I regularly see Zhuji players lean into, because they don't go for a tech straight away. If you don't want to play a unique tech, if you want to just go Palace Guard anyway, Zhuji library has no relevance to you. Get the better landmark first, the one that gives you your movement speed. Well, now in the Hissar Academy. I mean, we are playing into the late game as the Delhi. You know, credit to him, the Hissar Academy has been really impressive recently with what we've been seeing. He's already prepped the scholar count up to 20. But now I feel like you're just about to enter what's going to feel like the zombie apocalypse. Only this isn't, you know, your kind of Call of Duty slow-moving zombies that you're used to. This is more like World War Z, with them piling on top of each other to jump over a wall. Those walls being your keeps in this game. The zombies, they're going to be Palace Guard. I wonder if we can actually see the Divine Defense, actually. Divine Defense is disgusting with Bombards. They basically get up to 11 tower range, right? So even with shot triggers, Spring struggle to actually snipe them. It's a very easy way to just snipe out for free, but obviously he wants Divine Haste for now for the dive. Villagers trying to repair this, but Puppy Paw is going to lose an arm and a leg to try and keep this alive. In fact, practically all the repair crew is going to die off. He hasn't even tried to garrison them here. I mean, you're buying time, but for what here? This is so many losses just like that. 20 plus get chopped down. Castle is now going to immediately get blitzed. The floodgates are about to open here. I think this game is close to done. I don't like to call them prematurely, but the reality is you have to realize that half of the Delhi's army is an army right now. Their economy hasn't been set up for late game. Like, we are looking at a game where the first farm cluster, they're only now coming in, right, on the 2 keeps. This is it. This is all of it. And it's already being targeted. Bombards moving to the south side now. Oh, man. It's a troublesome situation, or a problematic situation, right? I think Anatan's 2TC build was really quite creative here. I say creative. People are going to say, we see Zhuji 2TC all the time. I think, like, we actually don't. We don't really see much Zhuji at all. But against Delhi especially, like, I feel like a lot of Zhuji players will feel pressured to maybe try and come out, play the map a little with Master Chiganu. But he understands it. It's just a lot better to get here. I think actually there's some credence to these 2TC builds to beat Delhi. We've seen it with the Japanese as well, where Puppy Paw quite often has been able to bring them down, with the exception of Marine Lord, because he's just a different beast. But once again, you know, in a series that Puppy Paw's involved in, he's just showing how, like, the Delhi versus 2TCs scrambles them a bit. This is not a Civ that wants to all-in you at 10 minutes, 12 minutes. They want to drag the Feudal Age out to 20 minutes with Sacred Sites controlled. Anatan used that against him to get his full greed. Well, the reason why Delhi end up with 0 units late castle and these farm transitions come in so delayed is you have to remember, to get to the eco-escalation standpoint, you're paying a lot. You have to gather 720 stone, and then you have to spend a long time building it. That's expensive, especially when you're adding in, what was this, 4 keeps, I believe it was? Usually ends up being 4 keeps. That's why you're not seeing the farm transitions early enough for Delhi. Their goal is to constrict the map, take away critical resources, and then later on, with their mass villages, outscale their opponent. But the issue is against civs like Zhuji, who don't really need to come out for those resources, because they can just make their farms cheaply and tax their villages. they get ahead. That's the problem. Like, I think this matchup, and we said it going into this, that Delhi are 45% win rate against GG. This is why. When they go 2TC, and you take this castle into TC boom approach yourself, there's no emergency other than those sacred sites for Anatan to come out and address. And there's no realm of existence in which you're going to be able to get free keeps up on the sacred sites before Anatan decaps one. Ray's now coming in and Puppy Paw. I don't think we're going to see him going above 100 eco anymore in this game. The Palace Guard are in. You know what they say at this stage in the game? If you don't have stone walls against Palace Guard in Imperial Age, it's basically over. Army's going to stand their ground. David Kim still with a deceptive army size. Anatan behind this has got a little bit of a calming moment. His food eco doesn't really look all there, surprisingly enough, and I'm wondering why. There we go. Farms on the backside hadn't been added in yet. That makes a lot of sense. He should be well over 3,000 food by now. Now, if somehow Puppy Paw could survive another 5 or 6 minutes, which I think is his mentality right now, Hisar Academy is going to become quite the curb stomper with all these techs research. But he needs time to even begin to remotely contest Anatan's eco. Love the siege play in the meantime, though. He's got plenty of gold with the 4 relics in the sacred site, right? It's a lot of gold generation. On top of that, he's got plenty of wood still in the back of his base to play off of over here and over here. So it makes a lot of sense to play siege, especially if you're defending your choke points anyway. But this does mean you're going to forfeit a lot of the map because Puppy Paw with these keeps on the flanks, you spread yourself wide. Your economy naturally ends up spread across the map like a thin knob of butter across a loaf of bread. Well, Anatan's Palace Guard are basically just the hungry people there for their toast. Oh no. Well, I stand by my statement. Puppy Paw is not going to know what 100 plus eco feels like anymore because Anatan surely is going to attack this. Right now, looks like he's a bit distracted going after the Springolds. And there we go. He's still going to turn around in time here. This is what I mean. These buildings just take way too long to build. I mean, I say way too long. They're balanced in how long they take. But for this Delhi strategy, it cripples your timings. It slows you down so much. It's not just the idle time of gathering the resources, it's the idle time of building it as well. I think Puppy Paw needs to get stone walls up. If he wants a chance to get back in this game, getting control of this game, that's his critical condition. You can already see it's coming from Anatan. You're against Palace Guard, and the problem right now is you're seeing Puppy Paw, he's at 200 pop with only 90 eco. Why is that? It's because he needs all this extra military to try and dent in while also somewhat blocking out these Palace Guard raids, right? If he had stone walls instead, the Palace Guard couldn't get in. And then he could actually have more eco, less in military. Like right now, for God's sakes, he's got 33 into siege. This Palace Guard, good God. I mean, credit to him, he's definitely calmed Anno down. I said this is pretty much over. I'd still put this at like a 65, 70% for Anno. But Puppy Paw is kind of weathering the storm to a point where there is a shot, but it's difficult until you get those walls up I talked about. And I think Puppy Paw's mindset is that I can go very fast down the center. Now that he's discovered the walls, now that he's discovered the amount of losses on the flanks, his mind's resetting on that. His thought process is a bit different about it, right? Like you're seeing him completely back up. And this is exactly what you can't afford to do because the moment this happens, the Palace Guard are let loose like dogs of war. Kind of weird, isn't it, right? To say that the later this game goes, like if it goes late enough, the Delhi can win, but that's the weirdness of this matchup. You know, Ghazi Raiders are actually a very pop-efficient unit in the hyper late game. On top of that, Zhuji don't peak as highly as the Chinese. They peak sooner. It's like for Anatan right now, he's building up a big vault, but he needs to start using that. He needs to start actually building those resources into an army that can win one fight and get in. For the time being, he's looking to just gradually get to that stage by chipping away Palace Guard raid after Palace Guard raid. A little hit the eco. That's now almost a 60 economy lead for Anatan. cannon placements on the way in. This is do or die for Bob Poole. He has got resources behind this, but you know, if this stalls out, the eco losses that he's taking on the backside of this is going to hamper his ability to play this game longer than 6 or 7 minutes. Asgard are still raided now into the back farms. Castle here to try and defend, but with how tanky these guys are, they can easily hang around for the kills. Looks like he's not going to be able to break through. Once again, Puppy Paw has to turn and burn. And well, in return, what's really being burned are his villagers. Down to 80. Juicy library now on the way. I'm wondering, does Anatan just look to play into the AoE bombards? They're pretty effective here. Probably not due to the amount of siege you're up against. But because there's so much siege and so little bio, look at what he can do. Palscar just run in and look for the freebies. I mean, this is expensive as well. Puppy Paw's easy access into wood and gold is becoming heavily limited as this game goes on. I wonder, is he just going to go for the taxmen? I mean, Hanatan, the way he's playing this, I have a feeling we're going to be looking at probably Cloud of Terror and Advanced Administration. You could actually just go to Dynastic Protectors, actually. Dynastic Protectors is pretty good here. Like, all he has to do, right now he's playing Palsguard, just switch to Yuan Raiders and go into the economy. It's so much cleaner to get these kills because of the 2 movement speed on those cav units. And then if you use Divine Charge instead, not only do they zoom, they also make everything go boom. Puppy coming again. I think Anatan's reached a stage where he has to deal with this fight. Like, he can't just keep looking back and going, okay, I'm going to go raid the eco. He needs to reset this. It's getting too close to his base. Ming Dynasty, the 50% damage might be good enough as well. Palsguard now hitting for a lofty 23 damage per strike. Mango's getting struck at. And that means Mass Palsguard Flood can win this. Crossbows, remember, they do not benefit from bonus health, only bonus damage. And right now, Puppy Paw lacks any semblance of a front line. Castle looks like it's going to go down, but Puppy Paw's backbone, his siege force, is gone. Ghazi spam is now on the way, but unfortunately the walls are still up. The bombard is gone. The castle will remain, and that means with the Ghazi transition, Puppy Paw still needs a way in. Wait, what? Anatan is... okay. I mean, I feel like the Nestabees make more sense than this one, Anatan. We need to talk about the Grenadier choice here, buddy. I'm a big fan of this, though. It is going to be the Cloud of Terror we talked about. So remember, that gives bombards an AoE. In fairness, it's like... actually, it's a better version of a Nestabees because of the range. Because what you do is use the Divine Defense. You get 11 tower range. It's kind of like having a mini Great Bombard. This crossbow mass is absurd. I feel like I'm actually watching a French player right now. Oh no, he's switching men-at-arms when he's going up against Grenadiers. This is actually terrible. Remember, Grenadiers have siege damage, so anything that has more armor gets hurt more by this. I actually feel like sticking Ghazi was the better call here, but I just don't know if his food eco can handle that long term. And he's starting to bow, he's starting to break. Look at this. For the first time in a long time, I think Anatan is about to take the military lead. These Grenadiers, I mean, this mass crossbow are just gradually getting whittled down, right? It was a 50 plus before, now down to 40. Bombards also being sniped. And if these bombards on the other side, with the Cloud of Terror coming in, getting range, it's going to be a decimation. Puppy Paw has to stand his ground. Anatan, what, is he just waiting for the tech? Like, no, he's going for the snipe. He's not even using the Divine Defense. He's legit just using them as their standard form. And now they have actually got the AoE attacks. Crossbow mass has been broken down to 20 and falling. Bombards now sieging on the castles, and I think we are finally at that break point. Both players have depleted all of the remaining food to get another push going on. Now, Puppy Paw does have a lot more units coming down the way. But what I'm getting more increasingly worried about is when I'm seeing crossbows and men-at-arms like this, Puppy Paw, he's adding a lot of gold-based units in. Gold is a limiting factor for him more so than for the Zhu Ji, right? Like, we're seeing Anatan actually exploit a lot of the gold veins. He has access to a lot of the gold on the map. But behind this, we also have to remember he's got 6 Imperial officials running around, taxing the people until they basically have no coins left. And it is going to be, yep, Dynastic Protectors. Okay, so considering the amount of gold he's got, I think this is Imperial Guard. Imperial Guard are very pop efficient, and he has plenty of gold to afford it. If this was a more gold-light game for Zhu Ji, then actually going for the alternative, going for your Yuan Raiders would make a lot more sense, because it would give you a way of easily sniping out economy, right? But in this game, it just makes so much sense to go for Imperial Guards. It's like having... Think about being a Byzantine player in the late game. If you only could afford Mass Cataphract, how good that would feel, right? Because if you have Mass Cataphract, then from a population standpoint, like you have more raw HP per population. Same logic here. It's going to be a problem for Puppy Paw. I mean, his army doesn't really feel tanky by comparison. Guards, sure, they're a little bit more tanky than horsemen. Men-at-arms, not really lofty. And the crossbows, like, this is always the weird thing about, like, ranged in late game. It's like, you need so much melee to protect them, because ranged can't hold their own, right? I think arbitrary Gambus's might be the very rare exception, but in most cases, the fact that you don't get an HP bump, like Elite Army Tactics Biology offers, leaves you feeling quite exposed. This game's going to be 2 hours long, isn't it? I'm sitting there, like, I feel like this game should have been over, like, once or twice already. And part of it is definitely on Puppy Paw holding well. Like, I want to praise him enough for that. But at the same time, I also do think there's an element of kind of classic Anatan. You know what I mean? Where it's like, he's playing Zhu Ji. He's like, I can go as late as the game needs. It's absolutely fine. Almost feels like he's doing a little bit of a tempo test. And, oh my, dude, it is actually Yuan Raiders. So he has no interest in winning the main fight. He's back to raiding. Okay, but one little important detail here, Anatan. If it is Yuan Raiders, please, for the love of God, use Temple of the Sun. I don't think he's even noticed or remembered to do this the whole game. He didn't use Divine Defense for the Bombards and the Grenadiers, but you need to use it for the Divine Charge here. It's really, really good. You already hit for 20 plus damage, add another 20% in, and all of a sudden you can guaranteed free hit villages. Actually, it's less than that, right? I think it's... You're borderline 2 hitting them. It doesn't guaranteed always matter with villages when they're full health, but remember, these Palace Guard raids earlier put a lot of these eco units low. Instead, it's like it's going to actually need it for the Divine Haste at home. There's going to be a clash coming in. Puppy Paw diving in. And he sees the Yuan Raiders. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to act well for him. Zeal plus the Herbal Menace doesn't land with Chain Heal up here for the time being. But the Bombards adding a decent amount of damage in. Now the Yuan Raiders backstabbing onto the Skull Mass. There's just nothing left of that front line. And honest guys, I'm not going to lie. I don't know why he went Yuan Raiders. These guys have done nothing. They can't even kill the Bombard. Okay, credit to them. They will get it in the end, but that took... Oh, come on! It's like Anatan, the way he's just shopping for units. It's kind of interesting, right? Because like this is a peculiar thought. It's like, what if Anatan isn't sure what the answer is in the late game against Delhi? You don't end up here against Delhi very often, so he probably doesn't have a clear idea like of the cleanest way of breaking this. It's kind of how it feels. Like I'm seeing crossbows being added in. Like if he believes crossbows are the answer, he should have gone for 10,000 bolts, right? But he can't now. It's almost just like he's not entirely certain of what the solution to Puppy Paw here is. And the Yuan Raiders, like the problem with the Yuan Raiders here is like your goal was to raid, and you didn't. You used half of your Yuan Raiders to frontline. So all of a sudden, this play into the Dynastic Protectors makes no sense, right? Like, yes, there was a goal in mind, but thinking back, Anatan's goal of raiding the economy when you're up against multi-keep TC rebooming Delhi, does Yuan Raiders really do enough? Castle's going up now. Nesta B's being queued up. If he just uses the Divine Defense, he can actually just use his bombards to snipe the enemy bombards easy peasy here. But this is getting ugly, man. I can't believe this. I've called it twice, saying it looks like it should actually be just Anatan favored now. But twice, Poppy Paw has middle fingered me from across the hall. This guy now has 4,000 plus food. He's mass scaling Ghazi. Dare I say, he has won this. I mean, this is absurd, man. I don't know where to begin with the breakdown of like things for Anatan to kind of target on here. The fact that I genuinely think he has not noticed Temple of the Sun the entire time. The fact that he went Dynastic Protectors for big question marks. There's definitely areas for improvement, I think, in the way he played the later phase of this game. He had a really good timing, and then it kind of felt like he just threw it away, being a little professor in a laboratory, right? Like just trying out all these different things. Meanwhile, Poppy Paw, well, he had his own professors, those scholars, researching away everything to get the Hissar Academy to the point that's giving him this kind of food income. And still more to come, folks. Stonewall's not going to be quick enough here. Army is going to march in position, though. These flurries are coming in. But the Ghazi could wrap around the back and go straight after the siege if they choose, and they're going to do exactly that. They're moving in. Nesta Bees need to get deeper. Spearman move across, though. It looks like he might be able to push him away. Bombard's also moving in range with the Ghazi. Tunnel vision, just looking for the siege, and they will get none of it. Nesta Bees stay alive. Poppy Paw is going to get pushed back. And that's a lot of bombards. He can't afford to lose those in the retreat. Those are expensive units at this stage in the game. The gold is drying up for both players. Every little matters here. It's difficult to actually get away, though. This Divine Haste just allows a quick gap close. Anatan, too paranoid to chase past the threshold here. Okay, good hold there by Anatan. That was do or die. If he screwed up there, if he lost the siege on the backside, these bombards were not going to stop moving. The hand cannoneers will continue onwards. But what you're seeing at this point in the game is the crippling weakness of the Juji when it gets into hand cannoneer territory. Someone said in chats earlier, I like Grenadiers. I didn't want to target them out. Now that they've disappeared from the chat window, I can say it. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Grenadiers are still quite irksome unless you're up against like a mass melee mosh pit. If it's hand cannoneers versus Grenadiers, even with the Divine Defense, I will take hand cannoneers every day of the week. And the reason is that this is Delhi hand cannoneers. They have got a 20% increased attack speed. They are absurd in these fights. You ever seen an English player get into hand cannoneers with his aura? Same thing. Only these guys don't need an outpost in range. There's a few minute arms going in. Nesta Bees. Oh god, they're targeting the Ghazi. They're not getting involved in the fight whatsoever. Springel's trying to trade out in the meantime. Push through continues. He's still on Divine Haste. I don't think he's noticed at this stage. But he is going to use that Divine Haste, a good value here. He finds the bombards, and he runs right for them. Poppy Paw. Surely this is it. This has to be. He didn't scale more hand cannoneers. He never went for more than 10. And by God damn it, I think Anno's done it. Pass Guard and Grenadiers got there in the end. It's the mass melee, right? Like, this is crazy. I think, looking back at this moment, Poppy Paw, it's an issue of gold, right? He didn't have the gold to get mass hand cannons. If he did, with men-at-arms, this could have made a lot of sense. But now the Grenadiers really are the difference, because I still think it's the worst gunpowder unit. But it's worse as no gunpowder units. And then you talk about the bombards, right, on both sides. Anatan's has AoE. Poppy Paws are just 50 cal sniper rifles targeting one unit at a time. Mangonels are at least going to come in to try and cause some pain, but the pain only seems to be swinging one way. Anatan, now down to finally 90 eco, is able to get towards a military size that might be able to break, but I am seeing issues here. He needs to get more food ASAP. He's also microing in a very peculiar way. Anno? Oh, this game is never ending. Anatan once again in retreat. Poppy Paw. Are we getting an Archer transition? Dude, that's funky. Kind of cool though, right? Like Anatan isn't as much Grenadier now as he is Crossbow. So Archers is an astute read. But you are on a map that is quickly now running out of wood as well. Might prove a bit pricey. This is another way that Zhuji and Chinese feel so cheap, is that they take all these finite resources and amplify them by 20%, right? It's like, if you have a 50-50 split of resources on the map and you're trading perfectly even, Zhuji will always be better than you, right? Because they won't run out. Food is eternal. Sure, great. And then we add in the fact they get gold forever. And yes, you got 4 relics, but, you know, if the taxmen are doing their tax duties, it's hard for even the relics to compete with that. All right, do I do another prediction? 1's for Anatan, 2's for Poppy Paw. We're now 45 minutes in this game. I don't think I'm ever going to get to leave this one. Figured we cast like 8, 9, 10 games this stream. I have a feeling it's going to be half that number, courtesy of these 2 players. I think we might be moving into trade soon, folks. Poppy Paw has to be considering it, right? Because I think the answer genuinely is hand cannoneers, and a lot of them. But you need money. He's got 4.5k gold all of a sudden. He's got a marketplace back here, but I think that was just for the trading resources. But he has got a corner trade post, so it is feasible here. The Palisade wall isn't exactly what I call a grand defense, though. What the f... I just looked up at Poppy Paw's food. Oh my god. Dude, I almost want a tax law point. Like, if you break a certain amount of a resource, then you minus a bunch of yours, and then it minuses that from your opponent as well, you know? Does the reduced cost on stone buildings apply to wonders? That's actually a good question. It does. There you go. 4,000 stones to the 5. I mean, wait, is this actually going to end with a wonder? Oh, no. Not another one of these. It's been a few weeks. I thought we were beyond these now, but... And what is it with... It's always Poppy Paw or Wham in these wonder games. There's no way. I don't think Anatan's going for one anytime at all. I mean, Poppy Paw is just gathering a crap ton of stone. He's not doing anything with it, right? I think, well, he may have built some more keeps, but like, you've got plenty of castles at this point, right? You don't need more. You've got 5 keeps. Actually, 6. You're fine. You don't need additionals. Yeah, dude, he's actually going for the wonder victory. I mean, I can't blame him. Every time he gets just over the threshold, there's a new wave of Zhuji waiting for him. We're just going to go 2 times speed here. Villagers are going to get massacred. Poppy Paw says, oh, good. More military. Walls going to go up. And I think Anatan, like, that should be alarm bells ringing. Like, why was he so focused on the stone? Like, why was that the thing he wanted from me? Anno, by the way, was getting ready to set up trade. All of a sudden, he just spent the stone, though. I don't think we are going for that wonder. Where did he spend it, though? This game is getting weird. It's another push in. Bombards. Millie try to snipe out the siege. Although they overkill on the Springald here. Bombards. That AoE when the mangonels come this close is a jackpot. Breakthrough in the center for Poppy Paw. Stone is now working against him, though, as a choke point. Crossbow standing their ground for the moment. Nanatan once again wishing he could refund and get 10,000 bolts. Unfortunately, that is not the way that AoE 4 works. Poppy Port, man, dude, I actually think like this has to be it, right? Anatan does not have Grenadiers. He does not have Nesta Bees. He does not have Bombards. I mean, this is the point where Poppy Port realistically could start breaking through. He's been waiting long enough. He hoarded enough gold almost to get a wonder. But actually now he's the one with the economical advantage here. I'm questioning whether Anatan has even been taxing at this stage. I feel like he's been supervising somewhere. Like, actually, let's do a check. How many taxmen does he have? He's got the 6. They're supervising and they're taxing over here. They're supervising the wood. Yeah, so I think half of them are supervising, half of them are taxing. But he has no active gold gatherers. However, he does now have trade. So this is going to be a 2-hour game. For God's sake. And yet Poppy Port's like, nope, nope. It's time to start setting up for the inevitable wonder win condition. Pascal, in the meantime, I'm going to jump in. So this isn't just about hitting the farms here. He came here checking for wood, and he came here checking for trade. He won't see any trade, so just hang around to kill the eco. Funnily enough, I don't think Poppy Port cares about losing 20 farmers when he has 20,000 food. Guys, can we just agree that Age of Empires 4 needs Titans? I mean, you got to give players something to spend 10,000 food on, right? Age of Mythology done it right. Well, these Palace Guard raids would have been infuriating about 20 minutes ago. Now it's just kind of a giant shrug, if I'm being totally honest with you. Is my chat window broken? Maybe it needs to be... There we go. Much better. Flash coming in. Poppy Port challenge best CGQ in. My god, is it working? Crossbow Mass is getting absolutely smushed. I mean, Poppy Port, don't go for the wonder, please. Just go for the kill, dude. Like, you've reduced him again. Anatan realistically can't keep up these type of fights. If Poppy Port just brings a few more military production buildings forward, keeps pushing, I think this game is just over. No, Delhi Titan is just literally a giant monk that has a wall lull built into him that has a radius 3 times larger than the standard wall lull. Zhuji Titan is just a giant grenadier that throws a grenade so big it immediately just blows up a building. Damn, we're going to create Titans for all the different factions, right? I know I got my modders in chat, so they're taking notes right now. They're like, this is a good idea. How do we make this into reality? Chinese is just a giant palace guard that goes at 2 movement speed. English is just a giant lombo that can shoot you from cross map. Poppy Port just trying to do what his southern neighbors never could. God bless Canada. All right, hear me out, guys. Now you build the wonder here. Can you imagine if he actually did? Oh my god, he'd be my hero. I mean, the funny thing is, he's basically ready for the wonder now. He's got the last trickle of stone coming through from the Taipans. And the re-wall from Anatan! Oh, this game is a clownery! Looks like the army's gonna get traded out. Poppy Port. This is expensive to lose considering the lack of wood and gold he has, remember. He's building the wonder, but now look at his wood and gold supply. He's like, get me the gate, get me the gate! Get me out of here! Oh my god. The absolute clownery of this. Great passive aggro now on the way. Rest of the army has backed away. Oh, the question now is, can he defend it? I mean, that was expensive on the wood and on the gold. Wood especially is what now worries me for a guy who's been building this much siege and this much Ghazi Raiders. He doesn't actually have much wood left on the map. Maybe like maximum 3k? At least that you can easily access, right? Like this area is very dangerous when you start getting drained like this. Why is there so many gates? I like how he tried to make it structurally sound. It wasn't just a blocker. It's like, I must be able to pass in and out of here so that I can trade here later. And the traders are back online. All 5 of them. All right, guys. Congrats. We are now still 15 minutes away from an end to this game. Oh, deep breaths, chat. Deep breaths. Oh, I made the chat window too big, didn't I? I think it should be... Is it 400? Maybe 350. I need to reconfig my chat window. It's a bit weird. All right. He's now trading as well. For the love of God. You know, it's like, oh, it's Gigi versus Delhi. This is going to be like a long feudal and someone will take the win. And then we got this. Push coming out. Einstein trying to gain some ground, but it's just a melee mosh pit. Dude, he's not going to break it with this. This is like the most redundant way to try and break out your base imaginable right now. It's like walking up to Mike Tyson in a fight and slapping him with a tissue. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Oh, man. I think I'm going to hit the 2 times because we're about to see Anatan run into death a lot. All these castles on the flanks as well. Like, you can't even go for pocket raids. I was worried about the wood and gold supply for Puppy Paw, but Anatan is just as bad, if not worse. The trade count isn't really at a scary point, right? He's now up to 23. He hasn't started to really pay dividends yet, so this is going to buy Puppy Paw like 2 or 3 minutes for free, which is why we're going to stay on the 2 times speed for now. Because Anatan basically needs to build up gold reserves so he can get into premium units, right? And that's where he can try to fight. But unfortunately for him, the fact that all these keeps are up and the fact that now actually Puppy Paw is adding in traders, just a few with the relics, means he can also afford premium. I can't believe we're back to these games. I thought we were done with these, folks. I really did think we were done with these type of games. God damn it. What the Wait, what? Okay, so wait. Let's run through this thought process, Anatan. You will kill the Wonder how? Because there's a stone. And even if you did, then what? Oh no. He's going for the landmark victory. He's just going to try to landmark snipe him. Oh my god. Can this actually work though? It's 136 pass guard, 125 of them here. He's actually going for the Wonder. Okay, this is where he immediately has to turn and say no. It has to be a landmark victory. No, Anatan. No. All right, folks. I think that might be it. I think that might be it. And the mangoes are getting good value as well. This is over, dude. I feel Anatan. I believed in the landmark snipe. I can't believe this, man. Anatan. He might as well pick Mongols with the way he panicked the moment he saw a wall there. He didn't know what to do with himself. That was like a boy seeing a booby for the first time. He saw that wall and he panicked. He's like, Puppy was like, well, what are you waiting for? All these landmarks dangling in his face, and he didn't even punt for it. Oh my god. And now he's drained, guys. Like, this is his last hope. Please tell me he's like, well, he's gonna go for the landmarks this time, right? But like the problem now is Poppy Paw saw this, right? Like when you see 120 Palace Guard, like, probably didn't build, like probably doesn't have much eco left, right? So now all you have to do is wait here. On the landmarks, where the wonder happens to be as well, until Anatan comes out to play. Oh. It's such a painful way to lose a game in the end. I mean, wonder victories never feel anything but painful, right? But truly, this is internal screaming in your brain. We're gonna just speed this up for Anatan's divine push. I don't think it's gonna be a divine push though, even if he does have divine haste. 200 military, guys. Here we go. Anatan. He says, I've been here for an hour and 3 minutes. I might as well go for it. The march is on. He splits it up. Heads for the Hissar Academy as well. Into the primary. 3 landmarks on 1 screen. Can he do it? Tower Victory's been given for free. Poppy Paw slow to react here. That could cost him dearly. He needs to body block this. He needs to prevent the compound defender from being reached. TC's being attacked as well. Hissar Academy is down. This actually might be somewhat close, but the body blocks, they are proving effective. He just needs to get in range. Torches out. Compound defender down to 4.7k HP. The TC is looking fine though, and I think it's fair to say that this is done. No way. Jose, can he kill the landmarks in time here? Anatan, if he'd just taken 1, maybe 1.5 the first way around, how close this second reboot might have been. But instead, Poppy Paw, as is almost traditional with this Canadian cast, will add another wonder victory to the belt.